The cabin went quiet so suddenly you could hear people stop breathing. Not the polite quiet you get before takeoff, but that heavy kind, the kind where everyone knows something just crossed a line and nobody wants to be the first to react. The captain was standing over me in seat 1A, finger pointed, voice sharp, telling me I didn't belong there. And the wild part, he had no idea that by the time this plane touched the runway again, his flying career would be over. Yeah, that happened. I didn't board that flight looking for trouble. Honestly, I hoped nothing would happen at all. I bought the ticket last minute, paid full fare, threw on a hoodie because airports are freezing, grabbed my beat-up duffel and figured I'd sit quietly, mind my business, maybe jot down a few notes, then disappear like I always do. That's kind of the job. You blend in, you observe, you don't become the story. But sometimes people decide who you are before you ever open your mouth, you know what I mean? It was raining hard at Harbor City International, that gray, miserable rain that makes the whole world feel smaller. Inside the first-class cabin, everything was polished and calm on the surface. Champagne glasses, clinking suits, neatly pressed, that soft lighting meant to make you feel important. I settled into seat 1A, hood still up, headphones around my neck, staring out the window as the rain streaked down the glass. We were already delayed. I noticed that right away, wrote the time in my notebook. Delays matter when you're paying attention. That's when I felt him before I saw him. Heavy steps, confident, irritated. The kind of walk that says I'm used to being obeyed. He stopped right in front of me, blocking the light, and when I looked up, I didn't see a smile or even basic courtesy. Just a stare. Cold. Measuring. "You," he said, loud enough for half the cabin to hear, "I need to see your ID. Now." I blinked once. Not because I was confused, but because I recognized the tone. If you've ever been on the receiving end of that tone, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Calm on the surface, judgment underneath. I kept my voice even. I showed my ID at the gate and again to the flight attendant. "Is there a problem, Captain?" He leaned in closer, way too close, like he wanted to remind me who had the power here. "The problem is you're sitting in a seat reserved for high-value passengers," he said, "and your appearance is making people uncomfortable." I glanced around. A guy who looked like a senator suddenly found his newspaper fascinating. A woman in a tailored suit had her phone angled just enough that I could tell she was recording. Nobody said a word. Funny how quiet people get when they don't want to choose sides. I looked back at him. "I paid for this seat. I'm not bothering anyone." "That's not your decision," he snapped. "I'm the captain of this aircraft, and I've decided you're not fit for this cabin. Not fit." That word hit harder than he probably realized. It always does. It's never just about a seat. It's about who gets to exist comfortably and who has to justify themselves. I felt that familiar heat rise in my chest, but I didn't let it show. Emotion makes people sloppy, and I wasn't about to give him that. "I suggest you return to the cockpit," I said calmly. "We're already delayed." His face flushed that angry red that comes when someone feels their authority slipping in front of witnesses. He straightened his shoulders like he was putting on his title again. "Listen to me, boy," he said, and the word came out sharp, unfiltered. "On this plane, my word is law. You are unfit for VIP travel. You can move to the back or I'll have airport police remove you, last chance." There it was. Not subtle anymore. Not even pretending. And, yeah, it stung. I won't lie about that. But more than anything, it made me tired. Deeply tired. I sighed, not dramatically, just worn out, and reached into my pocket slowly. I could feel him tense, could almost hear his imagination running wild. I pulled out my phone, placed it face up on the armrest, and looked straight at him. "Call them," I said quietly. "Call security. Call the duty manager. Because if I leave the seat under your command, this plane will not take off today and you will never fly commercially again." He laughed. Actually laughed. The kind of laugh people give when they think power is permanent. He turned away from me like I was already dismissed and stormed toward the galley phone, barking about a disruptive passenger refusing command's immediate removal. I opened my notebook and wrote the time. Security showed up fast. Big guys, serious faces, boots thudding through the cabin. The captain told his story with confidence, painting me as a problem, a threat, someone who needed to go. I didn't interrupt. I stood when asked, complied without resistance, apologized to the other passengers for the delay, because unlike him, I actually cared about them. As I grabbed my bag, I placed a business card on the empty seat. Face up. I didn't hand it to him. I didn't need to. "You're going to want a lawyer," I said softly. "And a union rep who won't lie to you." He told them to drag me off. Walking down that jet bridge felt familiar in a way I wish it didn't. The eyes, the assumptions, the silence. But I didn't look down. I never do. From the terminal window, I watched the plane push back, watched the nose turn away from the gate like nothing had happened. I made one phone call, then another. That's all it took. Less than 10 minutes later, the engine shut down. The plane rolled back to the gate slow and heavy like it had been called back by something bigger than pride. I walked back on board with the airport duty manager, federal security, and a badge around my neck that changed the temperature of the room instantly. When the cockpit door opened, the captain was still seated, still trying to look in control. That lasted about half a second. His eyes landed on the badge, then on my face, and whatever confidence he had left drained out of him. "Captain," I said evenly, "this aircraft is grounded. Your medical clearance and pilot certificate are suspended pending emergency review." He tried to argue, tried to posture, tried to say he had discretion. I asked his first officer one simple question. Did he agree that I was a threat to the safety of the flight? The kid shook his head so fast I almost felt sorry for him. We escorted the captain off his own plane, past the same passengers, past the same seat he told me I didn't deserve. Nobody clapped, nobody cheered, they just watched. And sometimes that's louder. 3 days later, he sat in a boardroom instead of a cockpit. Different suit. Same man, just smaller now. The airline terminated him for cause. The union didn't fight it. They couldn't. We revoked his license. Not suspended. Revoked. We pulled historical data. 12 removals from premium cabins over 5 years. Every single passenger was a minority. That's not coincidence, that's pattern. The Justice Department stepped in after that. He tried the media route, tried to spin himself as a victim of overreach, but a video surfaced, clear audio, millions of views, no edits, no missing context, just his words exactly as he said them. The internet did the rest. 6 months later, I stood on a stage introducing new national standards for bias recognition and de-escalation. Some people applauded, some were angry. Good. That meant it mattered. Change is never comfortable. I saw him once more after that. Outside the same airport. Rain again. Different uniform. He was driving a shuttle bus, soaked tired. A passenger in a hoodie snapped at him to hurry up. He nodded and said, "Yes, sir." I didn't smile. I didn't wave. Justice isn't about gloating. It's about balance. Here's the thing I want you to sit with. Authority isn't proven by how loud you speak or how small you can make someone else feel. It's proven by restraint, by humility, by knowing the difference between safety and ego. So ask yourself this: was he protecting passengers or protecting his pride? And when you see someone and decide they don't belong, ask yourself honestly, who taught you that? If you've ever been judged by how you look where you come from or whether you fit someone else's idea of success, I want to hear your story in the comments. And if you think power should always come with accountability, hit like, subscribe, and stick around. Because the most dangerous turbulence isn't in the air, it's in the mind of someone who forgets their humanity.